It seems some significant percentage of people have an inexplicable obsession with turning everything under the sun into a pet. No matter how large or obviously dangerous and predatory, you can be assured that someone out there wants to make it into a household pet. Pit bulls and large dogs in general definitely fall into this category, and we will go over this as well. But you might be surprised to learn that people online will even inquire about the feasibility of keeping everything from Tyrannosaurus rex to Titanoboa as a pet. Obviously, some of these animals are extinct, but their size alone should tell you why it's not a great idea. What we're really talking about here is people twisted in the head enough to want to own dangerous animals that can easily kill or seriously injure them, even without intending to. And not just them, but others around them as well. I once had a prolonged and rather ridiculous debate with an animal nutter on Quora, who kept insisting to me that lions and tigers should be owned privately, and that it is possible to make them safe if only you raise them right. Does this sound familiar to you? The following is an excerpt from a City Journal article titled, "Scared of Pit Bulls? You'd Better Be." And I quote, "Pit bulls drove my family from the Bronx. My pregnant wife and I had moved to Bedford Park off Mosholu Parkway late in 1997. Though the neighborhood had rough edges, we got used to it, at least for a while. After our son was born, however, and as spring blossomed and we ventured outside more often, we found ourselves growing ever more frightened of dangerous dogs. Pit bull owners had converted the little park in front of our apartment building into a dog training ground, where they goaded their animals into attacking one another or taught them to hang from tree branches to strengthen their jaws and their tenacity. Not surprisingly, when the dogs were running wild, the neighborhood's young mothers gathered up their children and fled. Seniors cowered together on a few benches. Like the mothers, owners of small dogs waited until the park was pit bull free before taking them for a walk. The park had been lost as a public space, impoverishing the neighborhood, but the dogs had taken over more than the park. After a rash of unsettling incidents, including a tornado of 8 unleashed pit bulls swirling across the park and the savage mangling of our neighbor's small mutt by another loose pit bull, we decided this was no place for a baby, and we left. Though dog advocates would dispute it, our fear was justified. Serious injuries, everything from a gash in the arm requiring a few stitches to severed hands and fractured skulls, continue to rise and now stand at more than 750,000 annually, up nearly 40% from 1986. Dog bites are one of the top causes of non-fatal injuries in the nation. Children are the most frequent victims, accounting for 60% of the dog bites and 20 of the 25 dog bite fatalities in 1996. Dog attacks are now the #1 reason that children wind up in hospital emergency rooms. Incredibly, nearly half of all American kids have been bitten by the age of 12. The Humane Society of the United States estimates that more than $100 million gets spent yearly treating dog bites in the nation's emergency rooms, and U.S. insurance companies paid out $250 million in dog bite liability claims in 1996. All men may be created equal, but not all dogs, says Catherine Hoopt, director of the Animal Behavior Clinic at Cornell and author of Domestic Animal Behavior.
Different breeds have genetic predispositions to certain kinds of behavior. The pit bull is an innately aggressive breed, often owned by someone who wants an aggressive dog, so they're going to encourage it.
Pit bulls have been bred specifically to be aggressive. They're descended from the now extinct Old English bulldog, a big tenacious breed used in the brutal, early 19th century sport of bull baiting, in which rowdy spectators watched dogs tear apart an enraged bull. Victorian reformers, concerned about the coarsening effect bull baiting had on its devotees, banned it by the early 1830s, but enterprising bull baiters merely migrated to an equally bloody sport, organized dog fighting. End quote. The problem with wild animals, and animals in general, is that they have instincts which cause them to view innocuous human behaviors as cause to attack. But really, All it takes is your mere presence. They don't actually need a reason to attack someone. Dogs are not unique in this regard, despite the supposed domestication label. So yes, Quora, a T-Rex would devour you if they were alive and you kept one captive. No, you can't befriend grizzly bears. Yes, lions and tigers are too dangerous to keep as pets, and they prefer freedom. No, it is not a good idea to keep a chimpanzee as a pet. As it is, the pit bull terrier and many closely related and functionally identical breeds are too high risk, as borne out by the data. And for that matter, dogs in general cause way too much inconvenience and aggravation for humans, even when they aren't directly attacking people. For whatever reason, dogs are far more aggressive towards humans and far more likely to approach people than wild canines. And again, certain dog types have specifically been bred for violence. People seem to accept the premise that dog breeds exist for a reason, or at least that some dogs are better suited to pulling sleds while others are better suited for hunting. So why is it that when it comes to the fighting breed dogs, suddenly it's supposed to be all in how they're raised? Even in the aforementioned article, the one I quoted from, claims that while different breeds have genetic predispositions to certain kinds of behavior, that can be influenced by how they are raised. But this can technically be said of wild animals as well. After all, some people do keep lions or tigers as pets, and it's not as if these big cats slaughter them the first chance they get. Nonetheless, it doesn't make it a good idea. It's simply better not to take such a risk with one's own personal safety, as well as that of the community you are a part of. It's better for the animals if we simply leave them alone. In the case of domestic dogs, I would say it's better if they simply do not exist, as they don't have a place in the natural world, or ours. With regard to pit bulls, the primary concern lies in their physical capabilities and temperament, which can lead to aggressive behavior of the kind that results in fatalities and very serious lifelong injuries in their victims. Studies indicate that pit bulls are disproportionately involved in severe attacks compared to other breeds. Even if you're generally a fan of dogs, this alone should raise legitimate concerns regarding public safety. Unlike smaller breeds, pit bulls possess a physique that enables them to inflict considerable harm when they do attack. According to data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, dog bites from pit bulls account for a substantial percentage of hospital visits related to dog-related injuries. And again, it is essential to consider the role of genetics and breeding practices in shaping behavior. The natural instincts of pit bulls may manifest as violence toward humans or other animals. This is something we've seen play out time and again. But we should be clear about something. This has absolutely nothing to do with proper training or so-called responsible ownership or socialization. One cannot train the prey drive out of any dog, let alone a pit bull. People forget that all dogs are descended from apex predators. Dogs are not blank slates, and they are not the product of institutional forces or education systems, like we are. They are instinct-driven, and their behavior is also shaped by what they are bred for. And again, we all know what pit bulls were historically bred for, and what they were originally used for. The unique combination of physical power and behavioral predispositions makes pit bulls particularly hazardous as household pets, and in reality, they are anything but. As for ridiculous questions like,
why did the two dogs attack Jacqueline Durand?
Or,
why did the pit bull suddenly maul that defenseless toddler to death like that?
Because it's a fucking dog. And that's what dogs do. It's what they're capable of doing. It's what they have done time and again. It's like asking why a pet Tyrannosaurus Rex might have, quote, turned on its owner. Because it's a motherfucking T-Rex.
I'm a motherfucking T-Rex! I'm a motherfucking T-Rex! Alright, so I'm walking down the street, whatever, just mind my own business, and I take a look, and I see an ice cream truck, and I'm like, oh shit, man, I want some ice cream, because it is a hot motherfucking day, I want some goddamn ice cream, so, I go up there, all the kids are running away, they're like, oh my god, the dinosaur, all that fuck, and I go up there and I say, hey, I want some mint chocolate chip ice cream. Ice cream man looks at me and says, we don't have any mint chocolate chip ice cream. And I told him, I said, dude, I really want some mint chocolate chip ice cream. He says, I'm sorry, we don't have any mint chocolate chip ice cream. So I ate that bitch!
I'm a motherfucking T-Rex!